A rotation is another type of transformation where figures move around a center point. And this is similar to how the hands of a clock move around the center of a clock. You have a center of rotation, which is, in this case, the center of the clock where the hands are attached. And the movement can be clockwise, like the hands of a clock move clockwise, or counterclockwise, going in the other direction. So if we were to rotate this point at 0,5 around the origin, and let's say we want to move it just 90 degrees, so that would move it one quadrant. Clockwise would mean we would go in this direction, so we will move it one quadrant, 90 degrees, and it will land here. So if this is A, this would be A prime. And if we were to rotate a point counterclockwise, and we've got -3, 0 is the point, I'm going to call it B. And if we rotate it counterclockwise, it's going to go in the opposite direction to what the hands of a clock would go. And 270 degrees means it goes around 3 quadrants. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and here we are. This is B prime. The points we're looking to rotate aren't always conveniently on an axis. So for example, we've got R here at 3, 2, and we want to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. So clockwise means it's going to go in this direction, and you could use a protractor, or I didn't have a protractor conveniently to hand working from home, so I'm using something that has a 90-degree angle, which is the corner of a red envelope. And here's my 90-degree angle. So I put that down at R, and at the origin, it's rotating around the origin. And I go in this distance and go the same distance down. That's a 90-degree rotation. So to copy that over, that would be here. That would be R prime. And just to double check, I am going to draw the lines and see, yep, that looks like a 90-degree angle there in the middle. So that's a 90-degree rotation clockwise. A 180-degree rotation counterclockwise will go in the other direction. And it's 180 degrees will be 2 quadrants. So R will rotate 1 quadrant and into the next quadrant counterclockwise. And again, I used my red envelope because 180 degrees is a straight line. So I measure along to here. This is where my point is. So at -3, -2. This is where R prime is. And after a rotation around any point, the image is congruent to the pre-image. The size of the image does not change. So we can see here that E prime, F prime, G prime, H prime is the same size as E, F, G, H after a rotation. And just to note as well, that this looks like a 90-degree rotation around the origin. If we were to look here and here, a 90-degree rotation counterclockwise around the origin, and the size is the same. So how do I know if two figures are congruent? All corresponding side lengths must be congruent. And just looking at EFGH and ABCD, they're oriented in different directions, so it's not so straightforward to compare them. So the first thing to do is match up corresponding points. And I matched up A to H, B to G, C to F, and D to E. And then I can compare the corresponding sides. is AB the same length as HG? So AB is a diagonal line across 2 boxes long and 1 box wide, and so is HG. So they're the same length. And I would do the same for AD and HE. AD is a diagonal line across 4 boxes in length this way and 1 box in width, and HE is across 4 boxes in length and 1 box in width. And so compare all 4 pairs of sides and make sure they're all the same length, and then we can say, yes, these 2 figures are congruent. If we're told that 2 figures are congruent, then we know that they have the same corresponding side lengths and angle measures. And so to fill in the blanks, we need to match up corresponding angles and sides. So I matched up A to J, B to I, and so on. And now I can fill in the missing numbers on each figure. So if angle J corresponds with angle A, with angle A, that means A is 162, so J is going to be 162 degrees. I corresponds to B, which is 108 degrees, so I is going to be 108 degrees. C corresponds to H, so H is going to be 117 degrees. G corresponds to D, 94 degrees. And E corresponds to F, and E is 59 degrees. So F is going to be 59 degrees. If they're congruent, all their angle measures, their corresponding angle measures must be congruent. And the same applies to the sides. AB corresponds to JI, and JI is 2.2 units long, so AB is going to be 2.2 units long. AE corresponds to JF, so JF is 2.8, so AE would be 2.8, and so on all around figure ABCDE. So in summary, for translations, we slide the image along. For reflections, we flip it over the line of reflection. And for rotation, we turn it around a central point. All of these images will be congruent to the pre-image. And these 3 types of transformations are called rigid motions, and the image is congruent to the pre-image. And that's the end of today's lesson.